You know what time it is, part 3 of the Wreck Rebel rebuild series, the series where I bought this Wreck Rebel 500 for a crazy good deal, decided to fix it up and give it away to one of you guys, allowing my Patreon members to vote for all the modifications along the way. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 yet, definitely make sure to watch those and go ahead and get caught up. But today we have a ton of updates, a ton of parts to get thrown on, and some bad news.
Perfect.
That was the best take that I've done so far, and I'm pretty sure that there was some beeping going on in the background, so hopefully it didn't come through too loudly. Welcome back to Life of Birch. I'm Birch, and this is the Wreck Rebel 500, and those are the parts that we've been waiting on forever. I don't know whose idea it was for me to start doing a rebuild series when it's freaking 106 degrees out and everything on the planet is on back order, but we finally have enough to get started. And it's not just clickbait, we do have some bad news aside from just all the back ordered stuff that I was just talking about, but before we do that, exhaust. All right. Oh! All right. Oh, yeah, the rumors are true, people. Those things are on tight. All right, I won't yeet this one just in case we need to use it for passenger pegs in the future. Just like we did with my old Rebel 500, we decided to go with Old Faithful, the Shorty GP exhaust, the best bang for your buck, hands down. I don't remember it being that loose before. What the heck? I feel like I've been tightening it down forever and it's just not getting tight enough to hold that on ever. Yeah, there's no way this will ever get tight enough to fit on there without an issue. I've now tightened it down to the point where there's literally almost no thread left and it's like starting to pinch it funny and it still can slide on and off with no problem. Like what the f? Yeah, we're just not gonna do that. I think I spoke too soon about this being Old Faithful because that doesn't fit. Well, that sucks that I tried to be funny and yeet this all the way over here because now it's all dirty and oh my god, dirt just poured out onto my shoe and now that has to go back on, or I guess wait until we get something else. That sucks. But you can see right here, it says for CMX 300, 500, and 1100, so I don't know. All right, it looks and feels like it's out. If it looks like I'm suddenly crying, it's because I got a piece of muffler dirt in my eye conveniently enough. And of course, conveniently enough, also the first part that we go to put on does not fit. So shout out to Amazon for that. I guess we can take this opportunity to sit down and talk about all the issues we've had thus far because I didn't expect to run into one with the first part we tried to install. So we've already talked about the heat and everything being on back order. I thought those two problems were done because it went from being 106 to a beautiful 80 degrees today. And you saw that pile of parts that we have. We have pretty much everything that we need except for a few key parts. Now you guys should remember that on the last Wreck Rebel rebuild series, we were going through all the damage and we found out that the bars were actually bent, which I did not think that they were. So that added a whole like other layer of things to where we needed to get the bars. And that was whatever, you know, I kind of worked that into the budget. Dude, what is going on today? I've been trying to film and first there was somebody freaking getting their car towed. Is this real? There was somebody getting their car towed, so there were like a bunch of chains and stuff going on, and now Amazon's backing up and beeping, so that's convenient. Anyway, so the bars were bent. That wasn't a big deal because I kind of like worked a little like buffer into the budget, so that's whatever. The bars were only like 30 something bucks. But unfortunately, I went to film this video one other time, and the plan was that I was gonna do the exhaust and the new tank, and then do all of the foot stuff in one video. Well, as I went to film that video last time, I didn't decide to start with the exhaust. I decided to start with all of this stuff, and I'm looking at it because I'd already ordered the brake pedal and I already ordered like the actual foot peg itself. So I'm like, all right, let's look at it and see if like this comes off the same way as my 1100 does. And long story short, I'm looking and I didn't notice before that it's totally missing the snap ring back here and the washer. So there's literally nothing holding the foot brake on. And then as I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? This entire freaking thing is bent in. How the hell did I not notice that before? And I'm thinking that's not a big deal. I'll just go online and I'll order them. And it only ended up being like 60 bucks. But what do you know? I got an email the next day saying that's on back order also. So it took forever to get all this stuff, then I found more damage, and now we gotta do more waiting. But I guess it's just a lesson you learn when you do your first build series, that you gotta factor in way more money and way more time than you thought. But enough complaining, I'll have Mr. Bezos overnight us a new Shorty GP exhaust for it, and we'll get started on the tank. Leave a comment below and let me know what color you think the Patreon members picked for the new tank. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that it's an OEM stock Honda color. Leave your guesses. Keep in mind this won't necessarily be like an actual step-by-step how-to video of how to swap out your tank, but if you're looking for that, I do already have one and I'll link it in the description. All right, so we gotta get this seat off. All right, get the tank undone right there. Ooh. And then it's a little bit out of order, but I'm realizing we should probably siphon the gas out before we get the tank off, so we'll do that. All right, so I got this fancy little pump thing so I don't have to use my mouth and end up sucking it in.
That's what she said.
And I've never used one before, so we'll see how this goes.
2 hours later.
It's like the hose is just so curled up that it's not getting in the actual gas itself. You see how curled up it is? It's like it's going in and just sticking above the gas. This piece of shit. I'm returning it. Let's just take the tank off. Step 1, lift it up like that and shimmy it back. Dude, now there's a bug in my... Dude, there's a yellow jacket in my ear. PETA's not gonna like me for this one. Yo, did I actually punch it? All right, so that's off. Then we pop this off. Okay, that one's more difficult. So we'll actually just pop this off. That one came off, that's good. Oh, there we go. And now this is the tricky part, if I'm remembering correctly. You gotta get those clips off in there. There we go. Now we got some room to work with. Okay, got that one out, and I think there's one more if I'm remembering correctly. Oof, I just almost fell. 2 flatheads should do the trick. Yeah, baby. Success. And with the help of editing magic, we'll get the gas cap off by... Wow, incredible. Since this piece of crap didn't work the way it was supposed to, we're just gonna kick it old school and hope that this funnel doesn't fall out because it's not very secure. Oh, come on. Gas is so expensive we can't afford to waste any. This is legitimately emptying out for so long. I thought it was only like half a tank. What the heck's going on here? I think this is the point last time where I just took the fuel pump off. So let's do that. Now to be very, very gentle getting it out. Ooh, let's go, baby. So we successfully have the fuel pump out of the original tank. We have the gas cap off the original tank. I got the bolts laid out in the order that they were in there, so we know how it goes back on. All that's left to do is put that and that back onto the new tank that we have. But before we do that, I figured I'd come over here, and for one thing, this thing looks freaking crazy without a tank. It looks like a cyborg or something. But anyway, I'm realizing that with the tank off, we have a lot more room to get underneath here. So I think before we do anything with the tank, I'm actually gonna take these off to replace these rubber bushings like I was saying. I don't think I'm gonna do everything with the handlebars yet, but I'm at least gonna take those bushings off while we have that space so there's less risk of scratching the tank later. Yeah, this is so much easier than it was with the tank on. Much easier. And now you can see these top bushings here that I was worried were a bit pinched. So we're gonna replace those even though they look fine, honestly, but better safe than sorry. Freshie number 1 and freshie number 2. And back home they go. Perfect. All right, so like I was saying, these bushings actually look pretty good, so I don't think we even needed to swap them out, but better to be safe than sorry because they were so cheap. As you can see, these are just like rubber bushings to keep all the vibrations down, so sometimes when the bars get smashed, they can kind of like get pinched a little bit, but doesn't seem like we had that issue, but like I said, for like $3, we might as well do it. And now it is time to finally get the tank put on. And while I'm remembering also, shout out to motosport.com. I had never heard of them before. I usually use like Partzilla and stuff like that, but on Motosport, it is so much cheaper than Partzilla. Literally all of the OEM parts that I ordered, I got through motosport.com, and it all ended up costing me less than just the tank would have on Partzilla. I think the tank alone was like $80 to $100 cheaper through Motosport as opposed to Partzilla. So definitely check them out if you haven't before. I'll leave a link below. But without further ado, it's finally time to get the new tank put on and do the grand color reveal. So it's your last chance. Leave a comment below. What color do you think the Patreon members voted on? All right, so we officially got everything swapped from the old tank onto the new tank, and the new tank is on the bike. Special thanks to Nina, aka Komodo Vlogs. Check out her channel, link in the description. But before we do the grand reveal, we ran into another issue. Thanks for your help, babe.
Oh no.
I gotcha. Oh, I can't even show it because the freaking bike is showing. So I went to put the fuel pump from this tank onto the new one, and what do you know, I didn't even notice one of the bolts was stripped out from the factory. So I took the nut from it and tried to put it on the new tank, and I'm like, man, it's not screwing on very easily. And then I realized it's because somebody just mashed this one onto the old tank, so you can see the threads are just all like gnarled up, and it just wasn't working. So I had to run to the hardware store to get a new cap nut, acorn nut, whatever you want to call it, and now we're back in business, but it's like an hour and a half later. Now the moment you've all been waiting for, the grand reveal of the new color. I know you're just as excited as I am to see that it's the exact same orange as my OG Rebel 500, but don't get too excited yet because we actually haven't put gas in the tank yet to make sure it's not leaking. I'm not sure if it was a dead giveaway or not, or if anybody caught on to it, but the keychain on the key was actually the same orange. So if you picked up on that, good for you. Moment of truth. Not hearing any leaks on the ground yet, so that's a good sign. What are those people yelling about, dude? All right, so we'll let the fuel pump prime a few times to make sure that we're good to go, but it should still have gas in it from before, I would think. Oh, all systems are go, it seems like. All right, so it's nice and warmed up and there's no gas coming out, so that's a good sign. Let's let her eat and see what it sounds like. Yeah. Not great. For anyone who says that the Shorty GP does not make a difference and that it's just the same as straight piping it, that's obviously not true because it sounds so much better with the Shorty GP than it does with nothing. So we'll have to have Mr. Bezos overnight us another one ASAP. All right, so what have we learned, boys and girls? We learned a few things today. The first thing is that there's always gonna be problems in life. And when that happens, you just gotta tackle them head on and do everything you can to solve them. And maybe complain along the way a little bit, but you handle it. And with that said, we're gonna end this one on a high note. The fact that the bike actually looks like a real bike again. Like, it almost doesn't look wrecked anymore. Shout out to my Patreon members for not only making all this possible, but for voting for this awesome color. I'm so stoked. I mean, obviously I was a little bit biased and I wanted it to be that color, but I didn't tell anybody that. And there were 4 different colors that they voted between and they picked this. So I'm super stoked, and I'm super stoked to show you guys what else they picked for us to do to this bike. And don't forget, we're not done yet. So if you want to have a say in it, go ahead and join the Patreon, link in the description. And don't forget, I'm also picking 3 lucky Patreon members at random to have a free entry to winning this bike. I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Love you guys. Peace.
Oh, so basic. Hope you play this. Damn, I prayed it. Nice song, and I became this. Oh, souls fake it. Pay those placements. Fuck shit. And I'm still waiting on the brighter day. It's been a minute, been rough many times more. And I'm kicking rocks to a sky of gray. Praying hard, talk to me before I'm done for.
See you next video.